What's up, people? What's up, people? How you doing, Marco? Hope all is well, my brother. Just adjust it real quick. Alrighty. We are going to be talking about these grind dance and DMD stones. And I'm going to show you guys some stuff. Get this rappel mic in a decent position. Hold on one sec, guys. Alrighty. Excuse me. Hey, I'm doing great, my man. Steven, how you doing, brother? We'll give it a few minutes before people start, or give people a few minutes to start getting in here, and then we'll get to talking about a couple things. What's up, Sam? How's it going, brother? Grab me an energy drink. Yeah, we'll just give people a few minutes to start getting in here, and then we'll get to talking. I'm just going to put a fresh edge on this old raccoon that we did a cut test on a little while ago. It performed shockingly well, even though this steel is quite soft on the stones. This is more. This live is more about. I want to show y'all a couple things, really, than anything else. 71-hour work week. Yeah, man, I get it. My typical is around 70 to 80. That's normal for me. That's not including my chore time on property, neither, on the properties. It can get quite hectic. All right. How is it going, Mr. Jacob? MT Knives, how's it going? All right, there's a few people in here. Let's get to talking. How's it going, Johnson? All right, I want to show y'all something. Basically, if you go back and look in the video on this stone right here, what I'm saying, hey, you know, them changing the price and all that, and the large pieces of silicone carbide and everything, and this grind dance stone. One of the YouTubers come on, and he, what's up, Aiden? How you doing, brother? No, Aiden, I didn't have a upload for tonight. I have upload for tomorrow night. Because because I knew I was going to be doing a live tonight. I didn't want them to conflict since I dropped the videos typically at 8 and do the live streams at 8. Well, okay, here's my issue. Basically, I was told all resin bonded stones have silicon carbide in it. That I don't want to say it's not true, but that's not correct. I have plenty of resin bonded stones that are all diamond is the abrasive, no silicon carbide. Some stones like Veneve, for example, and like the Naniwa resin stones, they do put silicon carbide in the resin matrix, basically to make the resin harder, or to make the resin matrix harder. That is correct. Not all resin bonded diamond stones have that, but some do. So he was correct on that. But my problem with this is not that there's some silicon carbide in the matrix. My problem is, let's show you guys. My problem with these stones, and now I understand why I didn't realize that he was releasing these stones as well. Now I understand why. Well, my question was this. If there's silicon carbide in it, that's no problem, so long as the silicon carbide is smaller than the diamond or the main abrasive. But in this case, that is simply not what it is. I want to show you guys. Okay. So you can clearly see the diamond is way smaller than the silicon carbide particles. The silicon carbide particles vary in size from quite, relatively small, like right here, to like giant, like right here. And in resin stones that have some silicon carbide in them, it's used to make the binder harder. It's a very small amount. This has a ton of silicon carbide in it. And again, the silicon carbide is not the problem. The problem is, look how big it is compared to the diamond. The diamond is about 1,000 grit. It's about correct. But the silicon carbide is gigantic. Completely defeating, the silicon carbide is what's going to control the grit of this stone, not the diamond, because it's the much larger particle. Okay, now let's go to the Kentif mixed abrasive. 70% diamond, 30% silicon carbide as the abrasive. Get this focused. Now I'm going to show you. Now if it was like this, it's no problem. Okay, remember, this is 30% silicon carbide, they said, to 70% diamond is the abrasive factor. Okay. Look at how little... Come on, focus. Look how little silicon carbide is in here. Those will be the dark specks. All the shiny specks will be your diamond. And what do you notice? Well, number one, there's much less silicon carbide. There's a lot more diamond than there is silicon carbide, but more importantly, the silicon carbide is smaller than the diamond. That way, the diamond is what is controlling your scratch pattern. That's a perfect image right there. You see a few silicon carbide particles, a lot of diamond particles, but the silicon carbide is smaller than the diamond. This is my problem with this stone and these DMD stones. There's way too much silicon carbide. And the silicon carbide is way too big. No, I'm sorry, guys, I couldn't see the chat, so now I'm back where I can see the chat. That is the problem with this stone right here. There's way too much silicon carbide in it. And more importantly, the silicon carbide is larger by a lot than the diamond. That totally negates the stone as a 1000 grit stone. You have what is realistically like 400 to 500 grit silicon carbide particles and probably around 1000 grit diamond particles. That doesn't work. The silicon carbide is what's going to control the scratch pattern. That's why when I did that edge with this and I said this is a super aggressive edge, well, that's why. Because it's not acting like a 1000 grit edge. It's acting probably like a 500 grit edge. Yes, I have FSK stones. And yeah, FSK are super vitrified stones. They're made under a molecular vacuum. That's why they're so tight grained or so tight pores. A really homogeneous mixture, basically really homogeneous. FSK, fantastic. All right, let's see. Columbia Gorge, yes, they are pure resin. They have no silicon carbide that I know of in them. Gindi, same thing. GKS, same thing. Veneve, yes, they have some silicon carbide. Nanawa, they have some silicon carbide in it, but it's very minimal. It's a very small amount, and again, the silicon carbide particles are smaller than the diamond. Let's see. Basically, you are cutting. Yes, exactly, Sammy. You're cutting with the SICK, not the diamond. The diamond is acting almost as a polishing agent in this case, which is exactly why when I looked at the scratch pattern, when I looked at it, with the naked eye, I'm like, this looks, fairly close to a 1K scratch pattern because I'm starting to see some polish. That's that diamond doing the polishing, but the silicon carbide is what's really controlling the depth of the scratches, and that is what's creating that very aggressive coarse edge. A dirty stone, yeah. This stone is absolutely contaminated to hell and back. Now, if you liked a very aggressive toothy edge, and you could get this stone at $53 like I bought it at, it's not a bad stone. It's going to last a very long time. It cuts okay. There's nothing wrong with it. But they jumped the price up to $125, which is an absolute joke. We're going to use this stone real quick to put an edge on this 14C. And then we're going to really inspect this edge closely under the microscope. But basically, this is massively contaminated. And he said, lap it, maybe you'll remove some of that, silicon carbide that's in it, and it won't be so bad. Well, I lapped it, and you guys see. So there's a ton of silicon carbide in this stone. There's also a healthy amount of diamond, but that don't do no good when you're having like the diamond particles are say 15 microns, and the silicon carbide particles are 50 microns. That's a big problem. But I didn't realize that he was coming out with these stones and releasing like this, I guess the same stones as these, but through his brand. I feel really bad. I don't want to mess him up, but this right here, people need to know about this. Now, I don't know if his stones are the same as this, but if they are, that's a problem. Like, I really don't want to mess the guy up. I'm hoping his stones are not like this. These stones absolutely 100% have a problem. If you put more too much pressure, will it be more coarse or we're gonna find out, Aiden. I'm gonna we're gonna play with the stone right now and see how it acts. I'm expecting, because there is a pretty heavy concentration of diamond, that if I use more pressure, I probably will get more polishing going on due to the diamond. So we're gonna use some. Actually, I'm not gonna waste these. Let's see how this stone does as far as load up with just water, because even Lacey's stone lubricant kept most of the load up out of it, but it still, this resin did load some, which that's another thing I have a problem with. So they aren't straight crap. No, I this stone right here is not a bad $50 stone, so long as you understand that it's going to leave a very coarse edge. It's not going to leave a 1,000 grit edge. It's going to leave more like I'm going to say more like a 500 grit edge. A lot of aggression, 600 grit, something like that. But no, this stone is not bad at $50. That's why I said in the video. In fact, at $50, I recommend it. At 125, hell no. So let's see how this stone does with just some water on it. How bad the load up is. I assume it's going to load up severely. I also assume that it's probably going to glaze. I agree, Aiden. Just save for a week or two and get you a grind knife sharpening resin stone. They are fantastic. If you don't want to do that, then these right here are excellent. These Forever 2023 two-sided resin stones, they're $109. You get a 400, 1000, and they also come in a 2500, 5000. This is a fantastic stone for $109. I very much like these stones. Very much like them. But if you want, if you want the best resin stones on the market right now, the grind knife sharpening, that's the way to go. Yes, they're $180 a stone, but they are ultra high performance. Got a nice thick abrasive layer. They're going to last you forever. They cut beautifully. They're very consistent. They got super high quality, very consistent diamond in them. That the grind knife sharpening resin stones are they're top of the mountain right now. Now, I do really love the mixed abrasive Kintif stones. These at what, like 65, 70 bucks. These are fantastic. And I really love the Kintif diamond with the aluminum plate on them. They are absolutely wonderful stones. And at like 80 bucks, 85 bucks, they're ridiculously good. So yeah, let's see how this stone acts with some water, just water. And we're gonna see how we're gonna look at this edge really close under a microscope. And just see how much the silicon carbide is really gouging this edge up. And he also said that, because see, the way I figured it, magically the next morning after I dropped my video, they changed the price to $125 a stone. To me, that looked like, my video sold them some stones. They seen an influx of stone buying, which I seen about 20 of these stones were sold through my affiliate links. So they seen an influx of stones, and they're like, "Hey, let's change the price. People are buying them. make some extra money. Okay, well, he said the pricing was a mistake. It was never supposed to be $60 or $53. And now, what is that true or not? I don't know. But what I do know is these stones were $59.99 minus 10%, so $54 for about a week. So it wasn't like they were just that price for a little while and then it got caught. They had been at $59.99 and 10% off for like a week. Then I made the video, and then magically that next morning, bam, $125. So I don't know. I don't know. I didn't. To me, I seen that as they seen people buying the stone, they seen an influx of stone purchases, and they changed the price to make more money. Now, if they were really supposed to be $125 and they had a pricing mistake, okay, I don't know. My my raccoon was disappointing. Dude, this is some soft 14C28N. But in my cut test, it really performed well. I I don't know why, considering it is soft and gummy. But in the cut test, it's the best 14C I've tested so far. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry, sorry about that coughing, guys. 5K Koramaku. I love the 5K Koramaku. All right, let's sharpen on this bad boy. So I'm just gonna match the edge angle that's on here. I'll tell you, this is definitely not no super fast cutting stone by any means. It's way slower than like the Kentif. Now, I'm not saying it don't cut, it does. It's just not a very fast cutting stone. But yeah, this 14C really surprised me. I expected it to do pretty poorly, just like Civivi 14C typically does, at around 30 cuts. And it did 60, which I was very surprised at. And I'm like, so I did 2 more cut tests just to verify, because it was like, man, with as soft as this steel feels on the stones, how did it do that? But, I mean, all 3 cut tests were, basically the same number, so it wasn't a fluke. I cut a lot of plastic straps, so it's low grit edge. It gets lost quick. Yeah, those heavy, thick plastic pallet straps. Yeah, that's got to be what it is. It's just this one has a really good heat treat. It's just on the soft side. You got the heat treat quality is good. The temper is good. It's just on the soft side, but it did perform really good. I mean, up until this, the best 14C I've tested did 40 cuts. This did 60. Sometimes raise price to keep the listing from selling out. Yeah, they can do that, but that I don't think that's what this was. This seemed like because it didn't say they jumped down to where they said, oh, there's 2 stones in stock or something like this. It was just too perfect a timing. It was too perfect a timing, and I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It might not have had nothing to do with my video whatsoever. But regardless, it jumping from $53 to $125, I don't like that. Especially considering these are DMD made resin stones. These should not be $125 stone, period. You know, but that's neither. At the end of the day, that's neither here nor there. My problem is the heavy concentration of silicon carbide that's in the stone, and the silicon carbide being particles being 3 to 4 times larger than the diamond particles. That's my problem here. Take price out of the equation. I want people to be aware, you know, of these stones. I don't want people to buy these stones thinking that they're going to get nice, super consistent finish when there's the silicon carbide that's in them is causing mad grit contamination. Okay, we've got a burr. I'll go ahead and do this side and then we'll check. We're definitely getting a little bit of glazing. Yeah, there's some burnishing going on. Not too bad. There's definitely some load up. Not too bad though. But I'll still stand behind what I said. If you can get this stone at $53 or $55, there's nothing wrong with it as long as you know it's going to leave you a rather toothy, aggressive edge. It's not going to leave a 1K grit edge. It's going to leave more like a 500 grit edge. So yeah, if you can pick them up at $55, there's nothing wrong with this stone. But it's not even close to worth $125 when you can buy the Forever 23 two-sided stones for $109 and they're better. Sounds pretty corporate to me. Sold 23 to 25 one day. Exactly. If you go look, all the reviews were Vine reviews, meaning stones they give out for free, and then magically my video goes up and they have an influx of purchases, and magically, 12 hours later, the price has doubled. It just could be a coincidence, very possible. But that's not a good look in my opinion. And they should definitely, with as much silicon carbide as in these stones, these do not need to be sold as a resin bonded diamond stone. They need to be sold as a resin bonded mixed abrasive stone, letting people know that there's a healthy dose of silicon carbide in these stones. Just like Kentif did with these. Like, it's kind of, if there's a teeny bit in there where they're using the silicon carbide to make the resin matrix harder. Okay, maybe they don't need to disclose that because there's such a teeny bit in there. Again, so long as the silicon carbide is smaller than the diamond particles. But in this stone, that is definitely not the case. There's a ton of silicon carbide in here. And the silicon carbide is much, much, much bigger than the diamond particles. So this thing leaves a really, really aggressive edge, which is not a bad thing. I like toothy, aggressive edges. But if you buy this expecting to get, around the 1K finish, well, it's not even close. It's much more aggressive than that. Just fatiguing that burr because the burr on this steel has always been quite gummy, or on this specific knife. But I definitely think they should disclose that these are mixed abrasive, considering that there's enough silicon carbide in here that it's absolutely doing a lot of the cutting. And why they would put silicon carbide particles that are 3, 4 times bigger than the diamond particles, that I don't understand that. That doesn't make any sense. Oh, wow. Thank you. That is my first. Wow, thank you. That's my first one of those. That's super nice. I appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Slow Models. That's pretty daggum cool. That's my first one. That's awesome. That's daggum cool, man. All right. Let's see what this edge looks like. Let's see what this edge looks like. Ah, okay, yeah, that's what my son just said. Hey, man, I appreciate that. That's super cool, brother. I appreciate that. That's what my son said. He's like, I think that's Mr. Brian. But that's my first super chat. All right, let's see what this looks like. It might be. It's kind of hard to get this to where it don't reflect and okay. Let's see. There's going to be some burr on here, like right there. I'm not worried about that right now. We're just trying to look at the actual scratch pattern and how bad the apex is chewed up from those super coarse. Millsap, thank you, brother. That's super cool, man. I appreciate that. I'll tell you what, man. Like that actually feels good when somebody gives you a super chat. Like it lets you know that's cool. That's a huge smile on my face. Thank y'all. Um, I appreciate it. Try to get it to where y'all can see the edge better, because that's one thing about this, the way it reflects light, the edge bevel can be kind of difficult to see. Yeah, see, it's going to be a pain in the butt. Now we're going to have to do it on this side, so hold on. I'm sorry, just bear with me. Oh, there, okay. Let me get it focused. I don't know how well this is going to come through for y'all. Okay, look at all the very deep gouges that are throwing light different. For example, and of course, hold on. Now that's annoying. Hold on a second. Of course it had to die. Don't worry, I got another one, guys. Don't worry. Be happy. This one needs to get wiped. Hold on a second. There's a lot of dust on this bad boy. I ain't used this one in forever. All right, this one's full charge, so let me get it resumed in again. Bear with me, people. I apologize. Why is it being a pain in the butt? Why is it being a pain in the butt? Trying to do this holding it's not easy. Give me one. I'm sorry, guys. Hold tight. I got to get it adjusted. I got to get it focused right. Why is this one being a pain in the ass? It doesn't want to work. Is it got to be that close? That can't be right. I guess it does. What the heck? Okay, this one I don't think we're going to get as much magnification on. I'm going to have to use the other one. Hold on. Y'all don't leave. I'm sorry. I know it's taking me a long time and I'm saying, hold on. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Y'all can get annoyed with me. I think it'll let me do it while it's charging. Okay. All right. That's what it should have did to start with. I'm sorry, guys. All right. Try to get to where we can. Why is it hazy like that? All right. I don't know why it's hazy like that. That's freaking weird. This is now y'all know why I use that handheld one. These are hard to do that with when you're like. It's hard to hold. Okay, there. All right, y'all see them deep gouges? Like right there, right there. Okay, that's them giant chunks of silicon carbide doing that. Yeah. Let's see how. Let's see what the apex look like. See how gnarly the apex looks. See all that texture on the apex. Try to get it focused a little better. Yeah, like right there, you see that almost notch? That's from hitting a big piece of that silicon carbide. So, I don't know how well that's coming through for y'all. I'm sorry about how long it took me to show y'all that just then. My bad. I didn't realize the battery was dying. Let me check the chat real quick. So, it is absolutely eating up. You're getting a not necessarily. Well, actually, yeah, that is damage. I don't want to say damage though. You're getting a very chewed up apex due to those. Yeah, I would. I agree, Aiden. I was going to say that to me that looks more like off the GKS 320, but it's where on the 320 I'm not getting. I can get a crisp apex. With this, you see how chewed up the apex looks, and basically it's just because of that edge slamming into those very, very large particles, and it's literally damaging the apex. Let me finish deburring on this, try to get that clean, and we'll see how well the edge cuts. And I hope I didn't run everybody off because of just then with trying to get that crazy ass microscope to work. I am sorry about how long that took. I know that's annoying hearing somebody say, wait, 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 wait. Let me try to get this thing deburred real quick. Like, see, right now, I can literally there's particles in this stone that's big enough that I can literally feel the apex hitting them. When I hit a larger particle. Yeah. DMD needs to do something about that. That's just those particles are just too daggone big. And that's supposed to be a 1,000 grit scratch pattern. That looks very 400-ish, but with a more chewed up apex than like if off my grind knife resin 320. That's a very aggressive stone, but yet it doesn't. I don't get that, like notches in the apex like this is causing. Realistically, your content has helped a ton. Hey man, that's what I'm here for, brother. I'm here to help you guys. I'm here to make sure that if people are spending their money on something, that it's a good product. I'm gonna call out the products that are problematic. If the product's good, I'm gonna let you guys know it. That is literally my goal in this channel. Teaching my coworkers how to sharpen, been great. He's been teaching his wife as well. Dude, I wish I could teach all of the United States, the whole Western civilization, freehand sharpening. It's something everybody should know how to do. It's still popular overseas, but freehand has seriously died off over here. You know, it's just it's a dying. I don't even want to say a hobby, but a dying skill. But it's a skill that everybody should have. All right, let's see what this edge cuts like. No, and we got to keep in mind this is supposed to be a 1,000 grit stone, so I should be able to, damn near, I should be able to get hair whittling off of this. You're not going to get hair whittling off of it. It's way too aggressive for that. Here's what the scratch pattern looks like to the eye. Okay, now see, to the eye, that looks maybe, 800, like say a Chaucer 800 type finish. Maybe a very, very close in that 800 to 1,000 grit range. Maybe or like a Koromaku 1K, a little lower than a 1,000 grit finish. But it doesn't look like, say, a 400 grit finish, but that's what it's going to cut like. You see, it's too aggressive for me it's not going to push cut. Now, it's way too coarse to push cut. Yeah, no, it's not going to push cut. All right, let's see if y'all can hear how it sounds. Is that translating through the microphone? That's a very, very coarse edge. Very, very coarse edge. Way more so than that's way coarser than like a 600. I'd say that's probably around 400 realistically. As far as the amount of aggression it's got. Yeah, and see this edge, it's got a ton of bite. It's got a lot of aggression, but it's not very keen. It's not very keen because that apex slamming into them big particles. Let's do this. All right, so now we know what this stone looks like, how this finished. Let's go over to the... All right, here's what our stone looks like. Let's see. Yeah, see, that's load up. It's not wanting to come out. It's moving around a little bit, but there's definitely some glazing. Not too terrible though, but it's definitely there. Let's go over to like the Kentif 1000. This is a mixed abrasive stone just like that is. Let's see what this will do now. No. Let's keep it apples to apples. Let's go to the Forever 23 resin bonded stone. We're just going to go to the 1000. And let's see what this stone does. 320 work sharp edge. Yeah, that's a very, very coarse edge. Very coarse. Not even close to a 1K. All right, so here's the 1000 grit from Forever 23. All right, now let's just do this quick sharpening. We'll keep the angle the same. We're going to use water on it too, since I didn't use lapping fluid on the other stone. I can already tell you this 1K cuts faster for sure. It's got way more feedback. Like I can substantially more feedback. Or Forever 23. You know, my wife used to shop at a store called Forever 21. And for every time I if I'm not thinking about it, I'll call it Forever 21 for some reason. But yeah, I mean Forever 23. Although I feel like quitting some days, possibly mislabeling. I mean, okay. I went and looked up on the DMD resin bonded stones last night, and that was one thing I read all over Reddit, was that their grit ratings are horribly wrong. Some people saying like the 6K was more like a 1K, and the 1K was like a 300, which now, yes, I would agree on that 1K. I would say that's in that 3 to 400. That's more coarse than a 400. I'd say that probably is more like a 300. Okay, we've already got a burr. Nice healthy burr. Listen. This stone cuts nice and quick. Nice and quick. I really, really like these Forever 23 resin stones. At $109, these are fantastic deal. These are well-made stones. And they have really nice feedback. That DMD stone does not have very much feedback at all. These stones have very nice feedback. I can absolutely feel exactly what I'm doing right now. I can feel that I can feel that I'm making contact with my apex. I can feel exactly what the stone's doing. I can feel it cutting. I'm not hitting any large particles. Like on the DMD, you feel the edge running into those large particles. With this, feels beautiful. And cuts way faster. Okay? We already got that burr flipped. And I agree. But like Aiden saying GKS, GKS, GKS. If you want the best resin bonded diamond stones on the market right now, the grind knife sharpening resin stones, they are that. They are incredibly good stones. Incredibly good stones. All right, we got our burrs flipped. All right, let's deburr this bad boy. Make a few fatiguing passes to weaken that burr. Like I said, this steel's been gummy on every time I've sharpened it. It's probably had 10 edges on it. So it's not just a burn edge. And it doesn't deburr super nicely. You know, weaken that burr. Now we'll make a few alternating lighter and lighter edge leading passes. Get rid of that burr. And see, now this, I'd say it finishes slightly more aggressive than a true 1000. It's close, but it's a little more aggressive than a true 1000. Like if you took a 1000 nanowa, this is slightly more aggressive than that. Leaves a nice, sticky, sharp, toothy edge. I really, really like this stone right here. Okay, we should be pretty well free of burr. Oh yeah, that's much, much stickier. Okay, let's look at that under the microscope. Where's that bad boy at? I really hope it don't die on me. And it wasn't charging it. Okay, it's got a little bit of charge. Alright, let's see what it looks like. Oh yeah, look how much more consistent that looks. Looky there. Looky there. Oh, let me zoom out a little bit so we can actually see the edge. Look how much more consistent that looks. No gouges. You see that? You don't see none of them deep gouges. That's a beautiful 1K scratch pattern. I'd say a little more aggressive than a true 1K. Notice now there's some burr, but you notice you don't see none of them that dents basically in the apex. That's just some burr up there, but there's no like notches in the apex like there was from that other stone. Now just a couple passes on a strop. Get that clean. We'll go to some 3 micron from Lacey on Angerstone strop. Just get that burr off of there. Okay, that should be clean of burr now. So, and we'll see that apex is going to be nice and crisp with no like, basically dents in it. Get it focused. Cam on. All right, let's see what that looks like. Much, much cleaner. That let me wipe the edge off. That is probably like steel from that strop. Yeah, there we go. Them little speckles you're seeing, that's just the dye from that diamond emulsion on the strops. Yeah, look how nice that looks. Yeah, there's still a few little burr fragments. Yeah, there's still some burr on here. Yeah, that right there is that's from the strop. Let's see how it cuts. There is still some burr on here, but mostly gone. We can probably easily push cut now, because this is close to a true 1000 grit edge. Beautiful. So, yeah, DMD needs to do something about that stone. There's a big problem that those giant chunks of silicon carbide, that's got to go. That has to go. They really have to do something about that. I sharpened my coworker's knife from Granger's under a microscope. Look like Swiss cheese. Yeah, I'd say it. this stone right here, it claims 1K. I'd say it's a true 800 grit, maybe 850-ish grit, something like that. But these are fantastic. For $109, basically you're paying what, $55 per grit. These are wonderful stones. I just learned that the Kentif mixed sick and diamond stones might be it. Yes. Okay. I'm going to. Me and him's done talked about that. There is some fibers. Okay. There are some fibers in there. Now, I have friends at the local school that's going to. Actually, I sent them the sample. They're going to run a mass spec, and we're going to find out if there's asbestos in those stones. Now, I personally don't believe there is. I've talked in depth with Kentif about it. I don't believe that's what it is, but the mass spec will tell if it is or it isn't. In my opinion, if it was, yes, I'm going to get rid of the stones. Now there are fibers other fibers that can be a health hazard, but at the same token, there is absolutely no way you're going to wet this stone. You're going to put lubricant on the stone. You're going to sharpen on it. It is absolutely impossible for any of those fibers to become airborne. Okay. Now, if you were grinding this say you were trying to flatten it and you were, grinding it on sandpaper dry, yeah, it could get in the air that way. But I highly doubt it's asbestos. And, if it is, yes, I'm just going to get rid of them. If it's not, and it's just other fibers that even if they're fibers that aren't ideal for health, again, the stone's wet. You have fluid on there. There's no possible way that those fibers can become airborne. So for me, not that big of a deal. Unless it is asbestos, and if it is, then it's just not worth taking the risk. I highly doubt it. Will the concentration matter, or regardless of concentration? On what? What is asbestos? Evil twin, exactly. There's absolutely zero reason that stone would have asbestos in it. I've seen before it was posted, I seen the electron microscope shots. Before any of that was posted, and we talked heavily about it. It's highly, highly unlikely. Highly unlikely. But, and you also have that, it's not, if it is in there, it's just not worth having just it's not a big deal. I hate to say it, but it's not a big deal. It's not ideal. I highly doubt there's asbestos in there. Even if there is, it's still not realistically that big of a deal. But I don't believe it's asbestos. It doesn't make sense why it would be in there. It really doesn't. And just what Evil Twin just said, asbestos, yeah, it's bad stuff. But if you walk into any city building that's been there, 30, 40, 50, 60, 80 years, there's asbestos in it. Like it But I'll say it again. There's zero reason that this stone right here has asbestos in it. There's no reason. It doesn't make sense. Now, looking at the electron microscope shots, could that be asbestos? Yes. Those fibers absolutely could be asbestos. No doubt about it. That's why, I've got having a mass spec done, and me and him's already talked about all that. They're going to mass spec it. That'll confirm yes or no. I should have that within a week. 100%. Now that can be a problem. Airborne, that's a no-no. You definitely would not want to be like, flattening that stone on some sandpaper dry, and you got dust flying up. That is not good. But come on, man. It's unlikely. It's unlikely. In fact, it's unlikely enough that I'm fixing to use it right now. That way we can see what the 1000 of it looks like, being that'll be a direct comparison because it's another mixed abrasive stone. So before I forget, let me charge this microscope now while we're using it. So we're going to use the mixed abrasive Kentif 1K. I want to start off by saying, if I knew or even thought there was asbestos in the stone, I would not use the stone. Okay. Even though realistically, I know that it's of no worry, because even if there was asbestos, I know that nothing's going to get airborne. It's not really a worry, but I still wouldn't use it. But I'm confident enough that it's not, because it doesn't make sense for there to be. So, all those cigarettes I used to smoke. Exactly. Exactly. My chest is ripped open right now. Well, was ripped open when I had my cabbage because of those cigarettes. So, this is the 1000 silicon carbide, and it's 30% silicon carbide, 70% diamond as far as the abrasive. And this is the 1K. And I'll tell you, these mixed abrasive stones are fantastic. They cut fast. They leave a very nice finish, very high edge quality. I really like them. They don't absorb water at all. And if you use like Lacey's lapping compound, to keep everything equal, I'm just going to use the water. But this lapping compound on these, or the solid diamond abrasive Kentifs, fantastic. Fantastic. They're so good. And we already got a nice healthy burr. These stones cut nice and fast. Even faster than the Forever 23. These are fast. These Kentifs are still faster stones. Nice. We're good on burr. Listen. All right, let's deburr this bad boy. I really, really like these stones. And see, Kentif makes these stones. These aren't rebranded stones. Kentif actually makes these stones. So, when I talked to Kentif about it, they said absolutely not. And of course, now, if there was, they would probably say there's not. But with them actually being the manufacturer of the stone, I don't believe they would put that in there. I just, especially with them trying to break into the Western market, that would be a very bad idea for them to do. And it serves no purpose. Like that's the next thing. It serves no purpose. These stones do leave very nice edge quality. Whoops. Looking at my damn chat. Slipped off the stone. And just for the record, it was only the mixed abrasive where we've seen those fibers, not the other, not the diamond with the aluminum base. So it's only the mixed abrasive where that's even, a possible issue. Okay. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, now to the eye, that is very, very close to a 1K grit finish to the eye. Hey, Taylor, what's up, brother? Hey, Aaron, what's up? So, let's see if this shitty microscope will give us, see what it looks like. Get it focused. Okay. Now that looks deburred pretty nicely. Okay. Now you see, it's a little more aggressive than what I'd say a true 1K is. It's probably down there around that, 900 range. It's a little more aggressive, but you don't see no deep gouges like you do from that other stone. It's pretty nice and consistent. There is, there's a little deeper gouge right there, but it's very minimal. Is where on that grindant stone, they're everywhere. Look at the apex. The apex, you don't see no dents, basically, like you was seeing from that grindant stone. It's pretty clean. There is some burr remaining. Yeah. So I would say that's probably more realistically like I don't know, that stone's probably more realistically like a 800. Now let's see how the edge cuts. Straight off the stone. Nice and toothy, but we can push cut. Well, just about. Maybe not. Yeah, we can just barely push cut. As we're on that grind that's 1K, you can forget about it. You're not push cut. This Kentif leaves a nice aggressive edge. Let's just knock any of that little burr that's remaining on there off. Okay. Now we should be nice and keen and crisp, but with good tooth, which is, now I will say, the Kentifs with the aluminum base, the 1K leaves a much finer finish or finer edge quality at say the 1K than the 1K mixed abrasive. The mixed abrasive definitely leaves a more toothy edge. Now we can easily push cut. Yeah, beautiful. So the That Grindance resin stone is just, it's all kind of jacked up. I would, if they lower the price back down to like, $50 and you want to pick one up, okay. But Lord have mercy, please don't pay no $125 for that stone. It is not worth it. You are getting ripped off if you buy that stone at that price. Go with the Kintiff or the Forever 23 resin, two-sided resin stone, and you will have a much, much, much better stone for your money. Um, yeah. And let's look at something too. I want to show y'all, because remember, this is a mixed abrasive stone. It's Kintiff advertises as 70% diamond, 30% silicon carbide as the abrasive. Remember what that Grindant stone looked like? How much silicon carbide you seen in it? Watch this. Go to the side that I wasn't using. I don't know if I already showed y'all this or not. Okay. They're saying this is a 30, as far as the abrasive, 70% diamond, 30% silicon carbide. Look how few silicon carbide specks you see. There's some. You see way more diamond than silicon carbide specks. But on that Grindant stone, there's a ton of silicon carbide in that stone. And more importantly, if you look, the diamond and silicon carbide are the same size, or the silicon carbide is smaller than the diamond. So the diamond is what is controlling the scratch pattern, not the silicon carbide. That's what's important. So, I don't know. I got a feeling DMD. I got a good feeling DMD is going to be getting in contact with me. I got a good feeling they're going to be pissed. But it is what it is. They need to make a better stone if they're gonna put that out and try to charge that kind of money for it. They need to be making a good quality stone. And they definitely don't need to. If that stone's got that much silicon carbide in it, they need to advertise the stone. It needs to be in the listing that it's a mixed abrasive stone. It is silicon carbide and diamond, not just call it a resin bonded diamond stone. That's my real big problem with it. Okay, I guess I can stop bitching now. Okay. Evil Twin. From what I know of resin bonded stones, because I actually was talking to a company about having my own stones made. Actually talking to a couple different companies. Silicon carbide can be used in resin bonded stones to make the resin matrix harder. That's the purpose of it. Basically, if you need to increase the resin hardness, they add some fine silicon carbide in it that's smaller than the diamond, or smaller than the main abrasive. So say it was 15 micron diamond, you would have silicon carbide in there that was, say, 5 microns. So that way the diamond is controlling the scratch pattern, not the silicon carbide. And the purpose of the silicon carbide is to make the resin matrix harder. That's what it's used for. Like say a Veneve resin stone, they have silicon carbide in them. If they need to increase the binder, the resin binder hardness, they add a little bit of silicon carbide. It's not really used as an abrasive in that case. How Grindance or DMD is using it, the silicon carbide is what's actually doing most of the cutting, because it's the largest of the particle. It's the largest particles. That makes sense? Let me get back to the chat now. I hope I've explained I hope I explained that to where y'all understand what I'm trying to convey. Basically, in a resin bonded diamond stone, if there's silicon carbide in the resin matrix, it's not a big deal so long as it's only a little bit and the silicon carbide is smaller than the diamond particles. The diamond particles need to be what's controlling the scratch pattern and doing the cutting. But if the silicon carbide is larger than the diamond, now the diamond is the secondary abrasive, and that's a problem. And it needs to be, sorry for moving the camera, it needs to be disclosed. Like, I wouldn't be raising hell about it as much. Number one, if they wouldn't have did what they did with the pricing, I wouldn't be raising hell as much as I am. I would still be raising hell though, just not as much. But with all that silicon carbide that's in those stones, them advertising that as a straight resin bonded diamond stone and not disclosing that, especially when the silicon carbide is doing most of the cutting, yes, I very much have a problem with that. Considering you guys may very well go and buy, some of y'all have bought that stone, some of you are going to buy that stone. I want you to know what you're getting, because clearly they're not going to let y'all know what you're actually buying. And I have a problem with that. Awesome, Dale. Okay. I just want to make sure I'm conveying it in a easy to understand way. But like Aiden said, man, if y'all want the best resin bonded diamond stones right now, just the grind knife sharpening resin stones, that's the way to go. If they're more expensive than you want to spend, my next suggestion would be to go with the Kentif diamond stones with the aluminum base. They are fantastic. If they're still too expensive, my next suggestion would be the Forever 23 resin, two-sided resin stones. All three of those stones are fantastic. These mixed abrasive Kentif stones also fantastic. But if you want the best, GKS is the way to go. They're $180 and they're going to last you forever. They're very high performance. They're just a total pleasure to use, actually. But I got a feeling that DMD is going to be emailing me here. I'm sure they're not, when they see these videos, and I know they will, they're not going to appreciate them very much. But I'm fully ready to talk to them. Because you know what? They didn't give me that stone. I spent my money on it. And I'm not happy with it. It's not a bad stone for $54, but I'm still not happy that I spent $54 on something that is, I'm buying a 1,000 grit stone and I'm getting something that's eat up with silicon carbide grit contamination. MT knives, man, I'm telling you, the GKS stones, they're all fantastic. I really love the 120, the 320, the 600, the 1K, the 5K. They're fantastic. They're fantastic. Like, I could sit here and tell you, how fantastic they are 1,000 times, and it's just going to sound like I'm bragging on them, but man, they really are that good. Aiden will tell you. They're so good. Are the GKS available? Let's see. I'll tell you all what's available. Buying direct from him. He has right now the 602K available. But let's see if see, he's got a couple other companies that sell his stones. Perfect Edge. Let's see what they got. Perfect Edge has the 600, 1K, 5,000, and 2,000. So I guess they're out on the 120 and 320. The 120 is that stone is so good. Oh, I love it. Um, believe it or not, I've actually really contemplated, um, you know, buying like a couple grand worth of stones from him wholesale and selling them myself. I've been debating it actually. I believe in the stones enough, and I enjoy them enough, and I know how high performance they are, and they're a great value enough that I have. But see, I kind of don't want to go down that road because if I sell them, then I have, bias towards them. And that's why I haven't did it yet. But I don't know. I don't know. I probably won't because I don't want to go down that road. But I also would like for people to be able to get them at any time they wanted them. My viewers, because right now that like the 120 and 320 are sold out all the time. They're the hardest ones to get. Um, you know, if my viewers want them, I wouldn't advertise them to where, they would be like if somebody searched on Google to where they would come buy them from like a web shop from me. I would keep them on in stock for you guys. That way, if y'all wanted them, you could buy them direct from me. I've debated it, but again, I don't know if I want to go down that road or not. I probably won't. They are fantastic, though. Sam, I appreciate it. I appreciate you hanging out with me, brother. Um, get you some rest, man. I guess I've said everything I wanted to say. Why? I, as long as you guys know, as long as everybody that really watches me, because I did say, that grind dance at $54 is I recommend it at that price. I just want everybody to be well aware that of what they're getting if they buy that stone, and to definitely not buy that stone if it's over $60. Okay, so I guess I've made sure that everybody knows that, and you know I don't have to worry about somebody actually buying that stone based on my word at $125 and then getting something that they feel is nowhere near worth that much money, which it's not. So I guess I might hang around till 10 and then call it. So 20 more minutes. Hey, what's up, Dwayne? You doing all right, brother? Yeah, I know, Dale. And see that's kind of why I figured that it wouldn't be a bad idea. It's basically, and see, if I did buy like that, I have to sell it at MAP. He's got that in the contract. So I would have to sell the stone at $180. But I will say this, if I did it, I just wouldn't advertise. So what I sold the stones for would be undisclosed to anybody. And I don't want to say I would sell them at under $180, but I would sell them at under $180, first of all. And they wouldn't be advertised. So if you're not a viewer of mine, you know, I would literally have them in stock for you guys. It would kind of be like that, if that makes sense. I wouldn't be doing it to make money. So it's something that I may do. If enough of you guys was to be like, yeah, that's not a bad idea, I might would that might would give me I just don't want anybody to think I'm biased or I'm trying to sell them something. I don't want that. In the hunt for the 5K Kentiff. Okay, here's the problem. You're going to be waiting for a while on that stone. Are you talking about the one with the aluminum base, the all diamond? Yeah, member perks, exactly. And like I said, I would be basically selling the stones to you guys at just around cost. So, you know, it would definitely be a member perk. Y'all let me know what y'all think about that. Like, send me an email and tell me, if y'all think I should do it, send me an email and let me know. Man, that PM2 lightweight, that is one of the best quality controlled knives I've ever got from Spyderco. I'm not kidding. It was so perfect out the box. It's insane. The action was unbelievably perfectly dialed in. It's a flawless fit and finish knife. The best I've ever gotten from Golden. 100%. Keen and happy to pay, Matt, as I can't source FA in Australia. No, brother. If flat out, if I do sell them, I will not charge you guys MAP. First of all, I it will not be a. I have no interest in making money off them. Okay, so I'm just going to put it that way. I'm not going to say any more than that but I would sell them for what I feel is fair to you guys, and it's going to be well less than that if I did it. I don't want to make money off the stones because then that does impart bias. Let's see. Yes, the all diamond one. Okay. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but basically those stones, they're a cement cured stone. Okay. So they can't just make that stone and fire it in an oven like a vitrified stone. In order for them to make those stones, the weather has to be within a certain temperature range and a certain humidity range, or else the stones won't cure. So they can only make those stones at certain times. And yeah, it's probably going to be a couple months before the 5K is available again. Probably late August. And I'm sad to say that, but yeah, probably late August at least. That's when I talked to them. Basically, that's kind of what I got. They are coming out with a 10K. Now they put the listing up and then they pulled it down. I don't understand why. As soon as it popped up, I went ahead and bought it. So it supposedly I should get my 10K around the end of this month. Don't really need it, but bought it just because I love the stone so much. I wanted the whole set. But the 5K in that line is really, really good. And sadly, it's probably going to be, end of August before they're back on Amazon. And the 3K, since they just sold out, they only had a few of the 3Ks. I put the listing up. They sold out, or I posted on my channel. They had 3Ks. But only a few of them. They sold out. It'll probably be the end of August before they have more 3Ks as well. Unless they have a few more that they posted. I'm not sure on that, though. Bummed. Cheaper Cut 200 got delayed. Yes. I just talked to Kai yesterday. They're getting everything going with the molecular vacuum. right now to create like super vitrified stones. Um, they're getting everything worked out. Probably about 2 months before we see the new. 2 months from now, before we start seeing the new molecular vacuum done stones. At least to like to the people they're sending them out to test. Now that's the time frame I got. Now how long it'll be before they start making their way to customers, I don't know. But he told me probably 2 months before I would get mine. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that or not. He didn't tell me not to, but so yeah. They told me they're getting everything put together now. And I'll tell you, man, I'm very bummed about I wanted the 200 really bad. I don't think even with the new molecular vacuum done, basically the super vitrified stones. I don't know if they're going to do a 200 in that stone. I hope they do, but from what I've kind of gathered, I don't. I think that's not gonna. I think they're gonna make 400 plus, not 200. I hope I'm wrong, but that's kind of how it seemed. That's kind of how it seemed to me. Because when I asked about that the 200 seemed like it was kind of, they didn't want to directly answer that, so I'm assuming the 200 is not going to be made. It's probably going to be 400 to 6K. Uh, which is that's a big bummer because I really, really wanted the 200. Um, man, these allergies are tearing me up. Let's see. More brothers and sisters of this channel. Thank you for the goodness. YouTube channels like this. And deep, disabled but deadly, and his kick-ass friends. Hey, man, I appreciate it, brother. Yeah, disabled but deadly is pretty cool, dude. Thank you for the info. Just got my 3K. Good. I'm glad you got one because I think they only had about 10. They put them up and they were literally sold out the next day. I'm sure when I posted that, everybody went and bought them because they were gone shortly after I put that post up. But hopefully they've got a few more of the 3Ks. I know they don't have any 5Ks. So that's why it's going to be, into August probably before we get more. Aiden, yeah, dude. That 270 is going to be sick. I'm super, super excited for that one myself. Super excited, actually. Hey, Joe. Hey, James. How's it going, brother? James's wife, if you're in here, how you doing, sister? But yeah, that I'm in talks with a couple companies that are bringing stones to market. A couple of them were expecting around this time to beginning of July. Now, one of them got pushed back that was expecting around now, but yet they got moved back to around July, just like Schiefer Cut did. So there should be one interesting new stone coming to market here within the next 2 weeks, probably. I'm hoping they get mine on the way to me here shortly, so I can do some videos on it for you guys. I'm really excited to get that stone. I can't tell y'all who it is or what it is, but I'm very much looking forward to it. I'm really excited about this specific stone, and this is the one that I don't want to get pushed back because I have been helping them with getting this stone made and designed for quite a while now. So I'm really hoping there's no issues to where it gets pushed back because this is the one that I really, really, really want to show you guys. It'll be it's also a molecular vacuum vitrified stone. So it's going to be like a super vitrified stone. But, well, I can't tell any more about it than that. But, well, they didn't tell. But yeah, I don't know if I can tell you guys got that. But basically, it's going to be a super vitrified diamond, a super vitrified stone. But it is different than in super vitrified stones that are on the market now. Yeah, I don't know what I'm allowed to say more than that, so I'll just hush. You got an idea, Eden? Yeah, I mine should be hitting the mail here shortly, so I should have it here within like a week or two, and then hopefully they'll be ready for market like 2 weeks after that, and I'll be able to release videos on it. But I'm really, really excited for this stone, and I there will be a 200 grit available in this line of stones. I know I can say that. So there is going to be a ridiculously fast cutting, reprofiling, and damage correction stone in this group of stones, and they're expecting $280 to $300 at market. I will be at Blade Show Atlanta. Yes, I gotta stop by Grind Knife Sharpening, hang out with them for a little while. They wanted to see me at the show, so I've got a couple places that want to hang out with me at the show. So I'm looking forward to that. It'll be fun to bounce around to the companies, and I'm sure do some sharpening with them. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Dude, an 80 grit, you know, that would be badass. Um, from with this company I've been working with and giving them advice on the stone, the ones I'm talking about here that I can't really go into detail on. I tried to get them to do a hundred grit, a true 100 grit super vitrified stone. Basically, they tried, and they came back to me and told me they couldn't. That's when we went to a 200 grit, and they was able to successfully do a 200. Basically, what they told me was at a 100, basically they could not stop tear out, and they was just having basically diamond tear out, and then actually bits of the vitrification pulling out of the stone and creating like pitting. So it's just too large of diamond particles, even for a super vitrified stone. So I think like 200 is about the lowest. 200 is about as low as they can go, at least with your typical super vitrified process. DCS, wish you would do sharpening workshops. Man, I'll tell you this. If there was people that wanted to do it local or meet up, I would absolutely do it. I wouldn't charge, just as like rent a venue, like a hotel conference room, and just everybody meet up and hang out, and yeah, do a sharpening workshop. I would love that. That'd be fun as hell. Like, I know there's some people that do it and they charge. Like, I wouldn't want to do it that way. I just, everybody throw a few bucks together to pay for the conference room, and then everybody just hang out and do a sharpening workshop. That'd be fun. I'd be all over that. FSK and working on the 180. Oh, they're not. So they're not doing the 180. I didn't see that. So they canceled the 180. If they did, that's why. There's something that 200 is about true 200 grit was about as low as they could go and keep the stone together, stop the tear out and stop that pitting. Basically the ceramic binder breaking out around the diamond, creating little pits. They told me they was going to send me one of the 100s they did just to check out, but it's all messed up. It's not really usable. But they just wanted me to actually see what happened. So if FSK stopped the plan on the 180, that's probably exactly why they canceled it. Autocorrect, yeah, autocorrect is annoying, man. Literally, for me, autocorrect only corrects what's correct. If I type something wrong, it'll leave it. But if it's correct, it'll change that shit and make it incorrect. Nice. Let's see. It's freaking wicked. You don't have it at Blade Show, but it should be ready. What is that? I'm sorry, I must be missing it. Let's see. Listening while I practice sharpening and some of it. That's it, man. Practice, brother. Practice. And I'll tell you, don't be scared to sharpen nicer knives once you start to get a general grasp of it. Is anyone here getting on Sever 7's new knife? Sever 7 did a design with Ketua? If so, that's cool. Okay, so they basically stopped the R&D on the 180. And that's cool, man. That's cool. I haven't seen anything about it. I'll go check out. Is the design public yet? I'd like to see his design. Check it out. Yeah, Sever 7, that dude's been around for a minute. I've never spoke to him, or I don't think I've ever even commented on one of his videos, but he is one of the YouTubers that I used to would watch. No confirmation as yet, but it's possible, man. That basically what the 100 grit was the problem. So maybe 180 is close enough that, 180, 200, maybe that's still within the ballpark of where it's feasible. And FSK they've been doing this for a long time, so they probably can make adjustments to the bond, the ceramic bonding to be able to handle larger particle sizes. They may very well be able to do a 100. Who knows? FSK they are impressive with what they do. There's no doubt about that. I had to get a fixed angled system. His hands twitch too much. Yeah, there's a lot of people. I know. I've worked with quite a few people trying to teach them to sharpen, and they had basically nerve damage in their hands, and some of them I could get to where I worked with them and got them to a level to where they could sharpen good enough. Some of them, I just they just had too much nerve damage to be able to actually do it at a high level. So they went fixed angled as well. Twitchy hands or nerve damage in the hands can definitely hold you back with sharpening. That's for sure. Okay, Aiden. Well, that right there is part. I don't want to say it, but that right there is part of what's going to be different about the stone that I've been working with. It is what they might go with. I don't want to say it just in case they watch this video. I don't want that coming out, but yes, what you just said. So it will be a super vitrified dot, not a super vitrified diamond. Hell, I haven't said any business name. Okay, the stone I've been working with, they're going to be super vitrified CBN stones, not superfied diamond. Yeah, I haven't said no names. They can't get mad at me for that. Which, believe it or not, that was my suggestion, was to go CBN rather than mono diamond, for the specific reason that nobody else has done it yet. And I personally prefer the way CBN cuts, especially in coarser, lower. Your mid grits don't really matter that much, but in your lower grits and your extreme high grits, I like the way CBN cuts better over mono diamond. Not on a strop, only in stones. In strops, I much prefer mono diamond, unless you're down submicron. Basically, a scale that measures pressure on test filament. Yeah, best tester. Yeah. You know, I've thought about just grabbing one to use as my, instead of using paper, um, using them to call the test on the cut test, man. But I had one years ago, and those things, even when you're being very careful, they can just be too inconsistent. If I knew that I could get very high consistency out of them, even with being very careful and cutting slow and doing everything I'm supposed to, and get the consistency that get a high level of consistency from them, I would buy one and I would use it basically to call the cut test. I just, maybe if I used the test clips, because I've never used the clips before. I had only ever used the spool, and I don't know, I just seen too much variation. Yeah, and they're expensive, and now maybe the test clips are better, being they're pre-tensioned exactly the same and everything. Um, but using the spool, I was just never happy with the consistency. And there's too many variables. Even if you're being incredibly careful yourself and trying to do everything as consistent and proper as possible, they're just too inconsistent. Now, maybe the clips would take a lot of that out of it, but yeah, 100% Aiden. CBN, the particle is much, much tougher. And that's why on like electroplated stones, I way prefer CBN to diamond. They stay cutting the same for a much longer period of time than like your typical diamond plate does. CBN is great stuff. I very much like it. But how quiet cut through paper is, how I charge my phone. Yeah, I mean, you can absolutely, yeah, if you're not using it to say call a test or anything, yes, you can absolutely use, the sound of cutting through paper to determine how good your edge is, for sure. I have a bit of a bad mental going on. Still, that's why I've been doing 10% of what I used to on the tube over the last. Hey, man, sometimes stepping back from YouTube and just taking a break is very good on the brain, very good on the mental end of your life. YouTube can beat you up. Even as just a viewer, YouTube can beat you up. Let's see, Sammy said, I like I myself like and recommend uncoated blades in general. Yeah, same here, man. Um, Give me a nice satin or stone wash any day of the week over a coated blade. 100%. Alliance, that I feel you there. I have horrible carpal tunnel. Yeah, dude, carpal tunnel can be brutal, brutal stuff. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that too, Greg. Man, it's sometimes your mental health is incredibly important, and sometimes you just got to step back. You gotta you gotta get that you gotta get that mental health healthy, and sometimes stepping back from social media is exactly what it takes. That's it. The heat required to apply those coatings, especially on your low temper stuff, is bru- is brutal. You're talking in a lot of cases. PVD is 1 to realistically 2 HRC, and it absolutely shows itself. You cut test 2 of the same knives, one coated and one not. I guarantee you, almost in every example, the uncoated blade will perform better. It'll sharpen nicer too. Recovering. Yeah, tell me about it, man. I didn't have any problem with the alcohol, but basically, motorcycle wreck put me on pain pills, and I was on them for many years. I'm clean now, but that was a hell of a ride. That was a hell of a ride. It's usually not this bad, this long. I've just been withdrawn from a lot of stuff. Well, we're happy to see you, man. I know I was actually kind of wondering why I hadn't seen you, because normally you'll pop in and like put a couple, like make a comment with a couple hearts or something on most of my posts, and I stopped seeing you. I was actually wondering why. I'm glad to know you're okay, man. Just work on yourself, brother, and step back from social media all you need, like all you need to. Social media can be a big part of hurting somebody's mental health. Well, I mean, here I'll show you something. I've been clean for off opiate, well, off, basically. I don't want to go too much in detail, but uh I was on very heavy opiates from the motorcycle wreck for many, many, many years, and I still to this day, and I've been clean from opiates for, well, I've been clean from hard opiates for 3 years, but even still, I have occasional cravings, and I still keep this right here around, um, just for when those cravings hit really hard, and I can't. I, I believe I can control them. Um, I believe I can control them, but I'm not 100% sure. So I still keep subs, you know, just in case. I uh, I know there's a lot of people that really hate, they hate subs. They speak poorly about them. They didn't, but I'll tell you, Subs really, really, really. I don't know if I want to say saved my life, but I beat my opiate addiction because of subs. Now I don't take subs unless I'm having a bad craving. Then I'll take a sub every now and then, but it's rare. However, I always keep one on me just in case. Um, but yeah, I don't know if I want to say sub saved my life, but I would still be an opiate addict if it wasn't for subs. I'll say that. Um, heavy doses of morphine. I was on at one point. I was on three 200 milligram morphines a day, and 60 milligrams of oxymorphone, um, or Opana. I was on very, very heavy doses of narcotics, and I got tired of that shit. I didn't want it. I didn't want it anymore, and I tried to quit many times, but there was no way I could cold turkey that. It'd break me within 24 hours every time. And I finally went the sub route, and sub saved my ass, man. Sub saved me. No doubt about it. And after about 2 years of being on subs, it took me probably about 8 months to wean myself off of subs. And now I get a hard craving maybe 4 or 5 times. I'd say 3 times a month. And I may take a sub 1 to 2 times out of that month based on how bad the craving is. But I haven't been on daily subs for 2.5 years now. I did the methadone thing. Methadone. I'm glad to hear. I'm glad to hear it did that for you, James. For me, methadone. I liked methadone. Um, yeah, I, methadone wasn't a good thing for me. In the end, meth got me off of opiates and recovery. Hey, man, recovery and the want to get clean off of meth. Now, see, one thing I will say is I never messed with anything like that, meth or other like hard street drugs. I never. It was always pharmaceuticals for me. Um, but I know a few people that's had a hell of a time with meth. A hell of a time with meth. I was on Dilaudid for 8 milligram Dilaudids. What, eight? I think 6 or 8 times a day. That was what I was on before I moved over to Opana for breakthrough pain. Um, Dilaudid. I never cared too much, all that much for oral. Like oral Dilaudid, but man, IV Dilaudid. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, IV Dilaudid was something else. But I was on oral Dilaudid for breakthrough pain for a while, and then I moved over to Opana, and let me tell you, uh, Opana instant release stuff. Good God, it was amazing. Yeah, Opana IR was something else. Absolutely blue oral dilaudid, slap out the water. But I'm very glad that I'm away from that shit, and I I I will never touch it again. That's one thing I can. Yeah, Opanas are crazy. I was on Opana extended release for a while too, but I didn't really like it that much. Um, I much preferred my long acting morphine, but instant release 10 milligram Opana. Yeah, that was them little they're kind of reddish, and I hate to say it, but they crushed up into nice powder and up the nose. God, they were good. But I'm glad I'm free of that shit. I am glad I'm free of that shit. And I know, like, a lot of ex addicts. They say you're always at risk of relapsing, and I would be stupid to say, I'm the type of person that can't relapse, but I'm the kind of person that's scared enough of that shit. I'm scared of what it how much I enjoyed it. I'm so scared of that I will never touch it again because of that. I'm too scared of that shit. Basically almost 20 years of my life being totally controlled by opiates. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I use pharmaceuticals in graduate. Now that I see, I'll be completely honest. When the pharmacies started really cracking down and on doctors, which because of my line of work, I know many doctors. Basically, I could get anything I want prescribed to me. Well, eventually, the pharmacy started cracking down around here, and it started getting to where, and I don't mean like where you're filling multiple prescriptions, but I mean like I was definitely not in any type of shape where I needed 600 milligrams of morphine a day and 60 milligrams of Opana. Okay. So basically, it got to where the pharmacies, they would ask flat out, they would want to see your MRIs and stuff, and they just wouldn't fill the doctor's prescriptions. And that really fucked me. So basically, I got tired of, being in horrible withdrawals because I'm fighting with the pharmacy to fill my medication. And you go to a different pharmacy and then you get flagged because you're trying to fill at another pharmacy and you filled at this pharmacy last month. And now you're trying to go to this one. And it just become too much of a headache. And I knew my next logical step was to graduate to H, and if I didn't do so. And that was when I was like, yep, I'm done with this shit. I got to figure out a way to get off of it. And I went the subs route, and it worked beautifully. It really did. Subs absolutely worked beautifully. I'm truly, truly thankful. Well, I'm right there with you, Evil Twin. I'm right there with you, buddy. Basically, I had a triple, and 2 months later, one of the bypasses failed. 3 months later, one of the bypasses failed, caused me another massive heart attack. So I went through in very very little time. I went through three major heart attacks. Um, Thank you, Lion. I appreciate it, man. And anybody else that has been in, you know, lived an addict's life, man, it's tough. And anybody that gets away from that shit should just thank God, man. Thank God. But yeah, And it heart attack, heart attack, heart attack, and then that failed by one of my bypass grafts fell in, causing me another massive heart attack, and this is all in quick succession. It's just bam, 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 and that's why the other day, when I went to the hospital, I got chest pain, and I was so shook up about it because it was just for a minute there, it was just like heart problem, one right after the next, major stuff, and yeah, the past few years of my life have been tough. 100%, Aiden. 100%. 100%. Sharpening stones, sharpening knives like that. That definitely, helps not even think and think about you know phar- pharmaceuticals. Like it. I've figured out a way to literally keep my mind off of it 99.9% of the time. And this right here is a big part of it. And believe it or not, doing YouTube videos and stuff, keeping your mind occupied, that helps big time. Big time. I've been clean for quite a while, but I've been away from pharmaceuticals for quite a while. And see, the thing is, I never once went outside. Like, I never went out on the streets to buy pharmaceuticals. For me, it's always prescribed stuff. So, and that was what scared me so bad when the pharmacy started cracking down, and it's like, okay, what am I going to do? I'm gonna have I'm gonna have to go to the streets, or else I don't even know what's gonna happen. Like, I can't handle these withdrawals, and it just I'm on one hand, I'm glad it happened. Well, not on one hand, on both hands, I'm glad it happened because it's a whole lot better being clean than it is being dependent on that shit. Sharpening is absolutely meditation, no doubt about it. Sharpening is 100% meditative. It puts me in a happy place. It keeps me in a happy place. Like, it's even when I'm not in a good mood, I'm pissed off because of whatever happened during the day or whatever. Hop on video, start filming a video, sharpen, and it's gone. Like, it just I'm in a happy place. It's really sharpening is I guess my zen place, if you want to call it that. It's my happy place. It really is. And doing it on YouTube and talking to you guys, it makes it even more so. It really is. It's very special to me. And I'm glad that I came over and started doing these YouTube videos because, like, you I love the sharpening and I love the people. And when you put them together, you really can't ask for you can't ask for a better hobby. You you can't. Sharpening the people and the sharpening is literally makes for the perfect hobby, and one that you can't not be happy. I'm talking to you guys, I'm sharpening, we're talking about knives, we're talking about this. You cannot be anything but happy. It's awesome. I love it. It's therapeutic as hell, man. It's very rewarding. And that's why I want to get as many people, especially into the freehand side of sharpening, because It truly is therapeutic, and it truly is rewarding. It's awesome. I love it. You guys are fantastic. The people, y'all are fantastic. And the hobby itself is fantastic. You put them two together, and it doesn't get any better than that. Rock, yeah, that's my buddy. Rock and I is fantastic. I, me and him's buddies. I really like him. He's a good dude. Yeah, Rock and Knives is he's really good quality person. Lion, that is the one thing I have not been able to beat. I did get off cigarettes because basically the doctor, my heart doctors told me if it wouldn't have been for cigarettes, I would have never had the heart problems I had. Um, and basically, after the bypass failed, caused me another major heart attack. Basically, if I didn't quit smoking, that I was going to die. It was I was going to have a massive heart attack and die. That's flat out. Not one cardiologist told me it. Three told me it. So I quit, but I used vapes to quit. And I will tell you, this is the one thing that I I don't know how to go without. The thought of not having this, I I, I can't. I don't know how to beat this. I would love I would love to get away from this, and I've tried, but I don't know how. It I don't know how. It just beats on me too hard. The and maybe I don't want to quit. I say I do, but I don't. Maybe I don't know. This is the one thing I don't know how to beat. Let's see. If I combine to occupy your mind and time, 100%, evil twin. The community. Oh, I agree, Lion. There's no doubt about it. The community is amazing. Aiden, a slow start, but once the momentum starts, stop. That's a fact, man. Like it. If you invest that initial time to learn, if you invest enough time and give it enough time to where you start actually learning sharpening, it will 100% addict you. You just have to give it that initial, you have to give it long enough to get its claws in you. Once it gets its claws in you and you start getting better edges and it, it, it's hard to stop once you start to see you progressing. It just, you just want it more and more and more. And I love that about sharpening. And even it doesn't matter 20 years later, 20 years after you start sharpening, it's still the same thing. You still want to get better. You know you can get better, and it still has its claws in you even 20 years after you started. It's still, I don't know, it's just awesome. I love sharpening. Yeah, vapes are a tad bit healthier. Basically, they told me, of course, vapes are bad, but on the heart, vapes are much, much better than cigarettes are. Neither's good, but basically, the cigarettes would kill me. The vapes probably wouldn't cause me to have another heart attack. I mean, of course, they can't promise that it wouldn't, but they're like, if you vape, you'll probably be okay. If you continue to smoke, you will die. So I, uh, I quit the cigarettes. Let's see. I'm trying to switch to vaping. Hey man, cigarette. It was tough, buddy. It took me about 3 or 4 years. And I'd say about 4 years to where I still didn't crave cigarettes constantly. Like the vape made it to where it didn't drive me absolutely crazy.
But it took me probably about 4 years before I could actually go a day where I could say I went a whole day without thinking about a cigarette. It took me about 4 years to reach that point. And that, of course, is while I'm vaping. So I'd say the first 2 years were hell. Vape, not vape, don't matter. It was hell. I'm down from 2 packs a day. I was pretty much a 2 pack a day guy. Oh, really? Oh, you cut down that much? Well, hey, dude, all that's doing is extending your life, brother. You can look at it that way. It's literally extending your life. I don't know. You got to try to quit a few different types. Turn so again. I agree. Evil twin. I agree 100%. You just gotta find something to replace it with that you can. Yes, that's the lesser of two evils. You literally have to do it, or it will kill you. It will kill you. Pouches. What do you mean pouches? Like dip, like dip pouches, as I used to dip. Or are you talking about them? Like nicotine pouches, Zen, I think they're called, or something like that. Is that what you mean? But when my wife, that's tough, buddy. That C word is a scary shit. I'm sorry to hear that. I will definitely keep you and your wife in my prayers, man, because I won't even say that word. I haven't had, but it's taken a few people from me that was really, really tough on me. And yeah, it's like I won't even say that word. Nicotine is more addictive than crack. I mean, I I I quit hard opiates, man. 20-year addiction, but I haven't been able to quit nicotine. It's crazy to think about, but it's true. I never realized how much cigarettes stink. Oh, dude, tell me about it. I, I apologize to my kids all the time because my kids used to say, like, because I would smoke in the car. And this is not when they were babies, but as they got older, and they would say, like, and I thought it was just because they didn't like it, because of course, to me and my wife, we smoked, we didn't notice that smell, and my kids would be like, you make us get called, like, people would say we smell like cigarettes all the time, and our clothes smell like cigarettes. I'm like, there's no way. I had no clue. Now, when somebody walks by me who smokes, it is insane. You can smell them from 100 feet away. And like I literally apologize to my kids almost daily for making them have to smell that. It's insane. Somebody walks by that smokes, and it's like, they're 50 feet away, and you're like, God, they just reek of cigarettes, and it's like, yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry y'all had to smell that. Like, because you smoke, you don't know. You don't smell it at all. You don't smell it on your clothes. You're totally nose blind. But it's wild. Only under huge stress do I. Well, that's good, Aiden, man. Just, brother, just don't ever start smoking that where you're constantly smoking, because it will kill you, man. Like, it will kill you. It's scary to think about that. I damaged my body so severely for a stupid ass cigarette, and I pay for it every day. Like I 100%, I pay for it every day. I I have nowhere near because I have heart failure now. I have nowhere near the stamina that I had. Amongst other things, like it really eats me up to think about that I destroyed my body for cigarettes. 39 years cardiovascular and pulmonary critical care medicine experience. I'm familiar with people struggles, but yeah, I bet, L dude. Yeah, man. Like I'll tell you what, if I could go back, if I could go back to basically when I picked that first cigarette up at about 15, if I could go back with one bit of knowledge, it wouldn't be to buy Bitcoin. It would be don't like that cigarette above everything. That's what it would be. Don't like that cigarette. Don't touch cigarettes. Guys, it was fun. I gotta talk to the wife for a little while and spend a little bit of time with her. I appreciate you guys hanging out. Um, my microphone didn't die, did it? No. I appreciate you guys hanging out. This was a super fun talk. I really do. I really do appreciate you guys. And, I really hope y'all enjoy the videos and I hope they help. I hope they help people. Um, and I think each and every one of you that actually watch my videos, it does mean a lot to me. And I will talk to you guys later. I'm going to start doing lives every Saturday night at 8 o'clock. So that'll be something that we do literally every week. All right, guys, y'all have a great night, and I will talk to y'all soon. I've got some cool videos dropping this week, so make sure you don't miss them. All right, y'all have a good night. Peace.